Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros MLB. It's time to look ahead to the waiver wire this week, and we've got some big names. Let's start with a prospect who could be coming up to the big leagues very soon. Marcelo Mayer of the Boston Red Sox. He's a shortstop by trade, but he's starting to get some work at second base. And Christian Campbell is getting work at first base, a little bit in the outfield too recently for the Red Sox. So Campbell, who has not hit at all in the last few weeks, he's just looking to survive, maybe a call-up. But Marcelo Mayer, rostered right now, Welsh, in 39% of leagues on CBS. There's an opportunity where we might see him by the time we turn the corner of Memorial Day, and he could be the everyday second baseman for the Boston Red Sox.
We might see him by the time this video hits. He might be called up before this video gets live to everybody. I completely agree. The Christian Campbell stuff, it's kind of disappointing, just personally for my Rookie of the Year bets, but also you can tell they're trying to find ways to keep him around that creates flexibility and getting guys that are going to lock into other positions. So it's like he played second. He's trying out at first, playing in the outfield, back where he's done that before. They're obviously playing some experimentation to see if, unfortunately, this would be a worst case scenario, making this about Campbell here. He might be the Red Sox version of the Diamondbacks' Jordan Lawler, where it's like, well, we're going to find 4 or 5 days for him to play, and it's across the field. That's not great. What is good about that, though, is that is opening up a spot for Marcelo Mayer, and it's making it pretty apparent where he would go. He would go over to second base, where he's been playing some primary spots for. You've also had Trevor Story, who struggled a little bit, but it looks like he is primed over the next week or so to take over that gig, and it's been a pretty good minor league season. His AAA data, he's gotten over 111 max EV, which shows like above raw average power. 47% hard hit rate is great. He's getting the ball in the air. These are all things that you want to see. 262 average, you'd love to see a little bit more of, but he's not striking out. He's walking. He plays above average defense. I mean, this is it. The Boston's ballpark in general, Fenway is just going to just create better opportunities for hitters as well. So Marcelo Mayer being this under-owned is kind of surprising in a world where people are speculating on prospects, because you should pick them up, yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, we got to talk about Drake Baldwin. It went from a fun little story to now we're asking ourselves, how much value does he have? A lot of difficult struggles for the Atlanta Braves this year. Albies, Olsen at times, still waiting on Ronald Acuna. Strider got beat around by the Nats last night, but Drake Baldwin's been kind of a bright spot for the Atlanta Braves. He qualifies as a catcher, and at 38% rostered currently. How aggressive would you be on Drake Baldwin considering how hot he's been recently?
Yeah, all those negatives you mentioned, none of which are Drake Baldwin. He has been nothing but a bright spot. 13% barrel rate. That's getting into a way above average territory. I think MLB average is like 7%. So it's, not quite elite, but it's there. Elite hard hit rate, 61% with like a 15% walk rate. You take that type of underlying type of contact, and then you pair that with a guy that's not striking out. Those are like huge windfalls that you want to make a bet on, plus 85% zone contact rate. So I'm getting at is yes, he's a young catcher, but they're not going to be able to help to get him in the lineup every day or every other day, even to supplant a guy like Sean Murphy. So in 2 catcher leagues, absolute no-brainer. I think he's floating around in like a 15-team league. He should be probably a guy that you pick up in that top 15. It's just Murphy makes it really difficult. And they also, you've got Ozuna who's going to log up that DH spot, because what you could see and what you wouldn't hate to see would be like Sean Murphy getting some opportunities at DH. So then you can get Drake Baldwin in. That's not the case, but Murphy's got a lot of injury history that's kind of following him. But Drake Baldwin is a super sneaky Rookie of the Year candidate, really high in the WAR department. He has done everything. His hitting profile looks incredible. And I think he's a guy for the second half of the season, definitely worth considering to bet on. Or if you're in those deeper leagues, a couple of people always hit up and they'll have 2 catchers. And it's like, why do you have 2 catchers in a singular league? If it's 15 or higher, there's only so many catchers on the wire if you have big enough bench spots. Drake Baldwin might be one of those guys that's even worth holding down on that bench spot if there's no other good viable options available.
One of the more puzzling roster percentages that I found on CBS was Taylor Ward. He's got 13 home runs, 28 RBI. Now, he's only hitting 203 on the year, but over the last week, he's hitting 288. 2 homers, 5 ribbies. So contact's been a problem for him, but the loudness of the contact has been there because he's still got the counting stats. He's only rostered in 57% of leagues right now, which I know people can say, well, he's not, available in my league, but there might be some leagues where people have dropped him and he's still floating around there. I just thought this was a really odd percentage that almost 50% of leagues, this guy was available still. I've never been the biggest Taylor Ward guy, but you also have to look in terms of depth of the outfield. You've had Dylan Cruz recently have an injury. We've got some outfielders on IL. We're still waiting on Acuna. And the guy with 13 home runs should not be 50% rostered.
He's a really weird one too, because the profile looks like phenomenal. 16% barrel, 48% hard hit rate. We love. He's got roughly a little over 30% or 30-point higher batting average, 203 average, 237 expected average. So that kind of stands out to you. I went to look to see, is there a split issue? He's hitting not well against both sides, but he's got a 203 BABIP. So it's like almost 100 batting points lower than his career average. So I think there's an unluck factor that's going on. But this year, he's been a primary fastball hitter. He's underperforming against fastballs, hitting 229, expected 282. But not only is he hitting under 200 against breaking and off-speed pitches, the expected batting average is under that as well. So he's making more zone contact, and it looks like it has really been about just barreling up and putting out fastballs. And that's not really the type of hitter that makes him super successful, but that's also why you're seeing he's doing damage against four seams, and he's hitting a bunch of homers off of there. Though breaking pitches, he does have 7 homers. So I would say this, I agree with you. The 203 average, or the ownership based on the 203 average, is weird with the homers. I would pick him up because that BABIP is telling us there's some positive regression in his game. Expected batting average is telling us he's closer to a 240 hitter. And if he's hitting 13 homers at a 200 average with this type of profile, maybe he's got a 30 home run season in him. So I think Taylor Ward would be a good pickup despite the batting average.
That was crazy amount there. Will Benson, if you're looking for a guy in the outfield who's rostered in less leagues, he is just rostered in about 35% of leagues currently. Benson probably, not going to be spending every single game out there, because against lefties, he probably will be on the wrong side of that platoon. But at the same time, you can't ignore what he's done recently, which is he's gone 12 for 34 with 5 homers in his last 10 games since getting called up. He was hitting the ball at AAA as well. I think sometimes there's something to say riding the hot hand off the waiver wire. Will Benson looks like that could be it until you get Acuna back maybe in a week, or until you get a Mike Trout back, hopefully, who's making some progress in his rehab. If you're looking to find it and patch things together in the outfield, could Will Benson's bat be a short-term solution?
Yeah, I mean, what he's doing right now, absolutely elite. Pulling the ball in the air 33% right now, which is like, that's tops of the league. It's absolutely ridiculous. He's not doing anything against lefties, but righties, he's hitting over 400. You would guess it. Profile looks absolutely ridiculous. Over 20% barrel, over 60% hard hit rate. Expected batting average is 296 because of the short sample size. I don't believe that Will Benson is going to lock into this and continue at this rate. But here is something I was discussing with Scott Bogman about this. There is most likely someone, especially in deeper leagues, if it's a deeper-ish 12 team or 15, there's probably like a mediocre-ish player that you kind of keep holding on to. But guys like Will Benson, you should pick up regardless of whatever the whole hey, can he continue? Simply because the profile to the hot streak, and you should take the win here. And in a lot of leagues, there's enough players out there that you can kind of burn and churn on the lower end of your outfield. So all of this to say is the profile is screaming at us that this looks like an incredible, short side platoon player, or no, strong side platoon player, because he's going up against righties, that if he could continue at that, we've seen guys like Kerry Carpenter, Pavin Smith is doing it, Jock Peterson. Guys can thrive for fantasy value being a platoon player. So that speaks well, but we know that there's some shortfalls for him. But at the end of the day, ride a hot streak for a absolute freak like Will Benson, who can run, who can hit big power, and is on that strong side of it, that maybe you might have to make a couple tougher decisions of some players that you might want to just say, I'm done with, and I'm going to get out from. Even a guy like a prospect like Nick Kurtz, if you're in a 12 team short, I know it's a different position, but if you're looking at just as a util spot, maybe you just say, screw it. You get out from under there and you ride the hot streak of Will Benson. And then when it falls off, get out quick and try to jump onto that next quick hot streak.
All right, before we get to the arms, I want to remind everybody the waiver assistant is out there to help you make all the moves in your fantasy leagues. If you're struggling with waiver wire decisions in your fantasy baseball league, don't, because the waiver assistant is here to help you. Just sync your leagues for free to receive personalized waiver suggestions tailored to your roster and league settings. Quickly see how many available players will improve your team by how much. Download the Fantasy Baseball My Playbook app or visit fantasypros.com/MLB My Playbook to gain an edge on the waiver wire today. Let's start with a pitcher here, Jeffrey Springs, one of your old favorites, Welsh, starting to rejuvenate himself a little bit. He's rostered in 53% of leagues currently, and what an up and down season that's been for him. In April, 5 starts, 22 innings, a 7.74 ERA. In 4 May starts, he is 2-0 with a 1.49 ERA and a .83 whip. Now, the strikeout rate's not where you want it to be, just 14 strikeouts in 24 innings, but the results have been markedly better for Springs.
Yeah, the walks are the thing that hold me back a little bit still, because I mean, his walk rate's like around 9%. It's just higher than it's really ever been. He did just come off of a Giants game where he went 6 2/3, didn't walk any, but he had a couple multi-walk games in there. Whip is just so high this year. Ballpark is kind of scary at this point. I mean, if we're looking at splits, though,
the splits are not good. He's got a 6.3 ERA at home and a 2.45.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. 2.45 ERA with 4 wins on the road, and at home he gets obliterated. So guess what? Don't start Jeffrey Springs at home. That's the easy play.
That's it.
He looks like a easy, must start on the road. He's been elite. The strikeouts are there. He's walking less, 11 walks in 33 innings away, 10 walks in 20 innings at home. So he's walking guys. He's essentially walking 1 every 2 innings. I'd have to do what the math is. That's 4.5 walk per 9 or something like that. I mean, that's a pretty high number at home. Probably because he's babying the zone so he doesn't leave stuff up so they can get it out of that minor league ballpark. Don't start him at home. Start him on the road and pick and choose if that's a streamer or somebody that you can stomach on your bench. But that's the play right there. I want Jeffrey Springs on road games right now.
All right, next guy we're going to talk about just got into the rotation. We had Hicks get bounced from the Giants rotation. Hayden Birdsong goes in. Birdsong is rostered in about 50% of leagues after his first start yesterday. Looking around at him, it was a pretty good first start for him. And the hope is that he sticks into this rotation. Now, so far, he's got a 1.91 ERA on the year. Most of this work is in the bullpen, though. 1.24 whip, 29 strikeouts, just 10 walks. But in terms of a starter, what are your expectations for him, and how aggressive should people be in their fab budget on Birdsong?
I think he should be kind of aggressive. At this type, I mean, he was in the bullpen, so anything can change. I got guys like Carson Whisenhunt in the minors. I feel like they could move stuff around. So I don't want to be like, you should, drop crazy fab on a guy like this who could be taken out of the rotation again. But I think the skill set really kind of screams at us as this is a guy that's good for the back end of your rotation that I think you can just start, just start in and out. Maybe not against the Dodgers, but changeup is elite. Batting average is low. It's got a 40% K percentage. The other 2 pitches that he throws predominantly, fastball, slider, those are under 20% K percentages so far this year. So that changeup, all of these are setting up the changeup. It's kind of low walks, 8% or low-ish. In this last start, it looked good. 24% K percentage. I think he can be a 3.5 ERA guy. And I think he's that line that's just maybe above this is a clear-cut streamer. I'd hold on to him because I think there's K upside, and that ballpark suppresses some runs. So I think there's some sneaky potential for him rest of season.
Also still available in 50% of leagues is Luis Heel of the New York Yankees, who will be back in that rotation sooner than later. So just do a sweep of what you've got. Well, look, you can airport it all you want. Yeah. He will be, because Ryan Yarbrough is not the answer long-term to your rotation woes. If you're the Yankees, Warren's pitched well, Fried has been brilliant, but you can't throw Yarbrough out there every 15.
I'm not arguing from a talent. I'm arguing from an injury standpoint. He's been dragging this injury all year long. There's no doubt the talent.
Well, the
lat
injuries tend to take a long time, so that's not surprising. The hope is in the next 3 to 4 weeks he does reemerge, but I think now's the time to kind of stash him on your bench. A lot of issues last year in terms of what the productivity was based on what the expected productivity was. the ERA, the xERA. The carpet doesn't match the drapes there. Let's just say that with heel, but at the same time, he's going to pitch for the Yankees, so you want to make sure you get him on your roster. Last guy I want to talk about has been dominating. If you watched last week, we gave you Logan Henderson one more time. We talked about him multiple times throughout the year. You picked him up. Hopefully you're loving life. But there's another Brewers pitcher that's coming quickly to the major leagues. He is 36% roster currently on CBS. He's Jacob Misiorowski of the Brewers, and he has been flat out dominant recently. 49 innings at AAA, a 1.46 ERA. He's got 59 strikeouts and 19 walks, a .89 whip. Welsh, I think it's only a matter of time. My guess is June. And all of a sudden, you're going to have Henderson, you're going to have Misiorowski, Peralta, and Woodruff. And I think that's when the Brewers start to really make their push for that Central.
Yeah, maybe the most important stat for Misiorowski across any of this is over 5 walks per 9 last year. That's cutting into the 3s. He has dramatically cut his walk rate because he's dialed back his velo just a tad, throwing his slider a bit more. And this pitch mix change, and specifically with the fastball, has made him a more efficient pitcher. And the guy is throwing 103 into late innings right now. It is a crazy big fastball with secondary and a disgusting slider. He can get big strikeouts. It was always command, why a lot of people thought he'd be in relief. That seems to be clearing itself up. He's going to get a shot in the rotation, and he is as big of a strikeout option in the minors as there is. So yeah, you want to talk about stashes. I think Misiorowski versus Heel is a really interesting discussion right now.
Oh, Misiorowski, I'd rather have.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Misiorowski's the guy I would probably go with.
Yeah, but look, who are you adding? Drop your comments below. Let us know. Subscribe to the channel, and you might win yourself a Jose Ramirez autographed jersey from pristineauction.com just for dropping comments and subscribing. And don't forget to ring that bell till it goes ding so you never miss a piece of content here on the channel. And you can be notified if you are the big winner of the Ramirez jersey. We've only got a few days left before that one goes away and a new giveaway takes its place. Now, this video is going away and another video is going to take its place for you on YouTube. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For the Welsh, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.